You notice things other people miss. Not because you're special, because you're paying attention. You see who actually decides, even when someone else is speaking. You can tell when confidence is real and when it's borrowed. At first, this feels like a gift, but over time you realize something uncomfortable. Intelligence doesn't protect you, it exposes you. Today I'm breaking down 4 laws from the 48 Laws of Power that explain why smart people fail and, more importantly, how you avoid their mistakes. We're covering Steve Jobs, Rihanna, Will Smith, and Netflix. And by the end, you'll understand why awareness without strategy is just exposure. Let's start with the most dangerous mistake. Here's what most intelligent people get wrong. They think awareness should protect them. It doesn't. The moment someone above you feels outshined, the atmosphere changes. Competence stops being admired and starts being monitored. Not because you did anything wrong, but because power doesn't want to feel replaceable. It wants to feel secure. This is why Green warns, never outshine the master. You can see this pattern clearly when Steve Jobs returned to Apple in 1997. The company was failing. Jobs had the vision to save it. Everyone knew it, but he didn't walk in announcing himself as the savior. He didn't immediately take the CEO title. He became interim CEO. He publicly deferred to the board. He let them feel like they were still in control. Only after he delivered results, after the iMac proved he was right, did he consolidate power. By then, it wasn't a takeover. It felt inevitable. The board didn't lose power. They willingly handed it over. That's the difference between competence that threatens and competence that conquers. Here's what you do. When you start a new job and you're genuinely good at what you do, don't immediately showcase every skill. Let your manager feel secure first. Ask questions. Defer to their expertise publicly. Make them look good in meetings. Then, after 60 to 90 days, start revealing your capabilities gradually. Competence revealed slowly is rewarded. Competence revealed all at once feels like a threat. Your boss should never feel like you're auditioning for their role, even if you are. Once you understand that power reacts strongly to perceived threat, another realization follows naturally. Showing people exactly where you're headed isn't honesty, it's provocation. The moment people can see your direction clearly, they start preparing for it, not emotionally, structurally. This is where many ambitious, intelligent people collapse their own momentum. They announce before they insulate. Rihanna and Fenty Beauty are the perfect example. She didn't announce she was going to disrupt the makeup industry. She didn't give interviews about how existing brands were failing women of color. She didn't telegraph her plans to L'Oreal, Estée Lauder, or MAC. She just quietly built the product line, secured manufacturing, locked in distribution partnerships with Sephora. And then, in September 2017, Fenty Beauty launched with 4V foundation shades. By the time the industry realized what was happening, she'd already captured the market. No time for resistance, no opportunity to block her. The announcement and the execution were simultaneous. That's not secrecy, that's strategy. Here's what you do. When you're planning something big, a career switch, a business launch, a major move, tell almost no one. Not because you're being secretive, but because premature announcements invite premature resistance. Your coworkers don't need to know you're interviewing elsewhere until you have the offer. Your family doesn't need to know about your startup until you have traction. Your friends don't need to know you're moving cities until the lease is signed. People can't block doors they don't know you're approaching. Now here's where it gets dangerous. Because even if you play the first 2 laws perfectly, you don't outshine, you don't announce, there's one thing that can destroy you overnight. Power doesn't live in facts, it lives in perception. A strong reputation acts like armor. A cracked one becomes an invitation. Once public perception shifts, authority drains fast, sometimes instantly. People decide who you are long before the truth catches up. And once that decision settles, facts stop mattering. Will Smith's Oscars moment proves this. One action reframed an entire public identity. Projects slowed, leverage stalled, respect questioned. Talent didn't disappear, power did. Because here's what people don't realize about reputation. It's not built on your best moments. It's built on predictability. People trusted Will Smith because for 30 years, he was predictable. Charming, controlled, safe. And once people can't predict you, they can't trust you with power, influence, or opportunity. Reputation isn't about what you've done. It's about what people believe you're capable of doing next. Will Smith is still talented, still capable, still intelligent, but the perception shifted. And perception is the game. Here's what you do. Protect your reputation like it's the only asset you have, because in many ways, it is. This means never lose your composure publicly, even when provoked. Don't engage in petty conflicts on social media or at work. If someone disrespects you, handle it privately or not at all. One viral outburst can undo years of credibility. Your professional reputation is built over years and destroyed in seconds. The moment you become unpredictable, you become untrustworthy, and once trust is gone, power follows. Here's the truth most people miss. Intelligence isn't what wins. Timing is. Being right too early feels disruptive. Being right too late makes you irrelevant. But being right at the exact psychological moment feels inevitable. Netflix understood this. They didn't invent movies. They didn't invent television. They didn't even invent streaming. They waited. Blockbuster saw the shift coming. They had the intelligence, but comfort delayed action. Netflix moved only when consumer behavior made resistance pointless. Blockbuster was smart too early. Netflix was patient at the right moment. But here's the part most people miss. Netflix didn't just wait for the right time. They actively shaped the conditions that made their timing perfect. They spent years building DVD distribution, learning consumer behavior, collecting data on what people actually watched. When they launched streaming, it wasn't luck. It was preparation disguised as patience. By the time they made their move, they had infrastructure, algorithms, content relationships, and consumer trust already in place. Timing isn't about waiting passively. It's about building in the shadows until the moment you move feels inevitable. Intelligence predicts. Timing conquers. Here's what you do. Stop trying to convince people before they're ready. If you have an innovative idea at work, don't pitch it the moment you think of it. Wait for the right conditions, when the pain of the current system becomes obvious to everyone. When leadership is actively looking for solutions, when you've built enough credibility that people trust your judgment. But while you're waiting, prepare. Gather data. Build prototypes. Document failures of the current system. The same idea presented at the wrong time gets rejected. Presented at the right time, it looks like genius. You're not waiting because you're afraid. You're waiting because you understand leverage. And you're preparing so that when the moment comes, you're the only one ready to move. This is the awareness curse. You think that seeing the game means you should act immediately. But premature action exposes you. Premature certainty alarms others. Premature truth creates enemies you didn't need. The solution isn't to become smaller. It's to become precise. Move from visibility to positioning. Stop trying to be seen. Place yourself where decisions already happen. Move from accuracy to timing. Wait until reality forces agreement. Move from presence to indispensability. Make your absence felt, not your presence disruptive. If you've always felt slightly out of sync with the room, it's because you're watching patterns others are still trapped inside. You were never meant to play loudly. You were meant to play with precision. Power doesn't belong to the most obvious mind. It belongs to the most controlled one. If this resonated, hit subscribe. I'm breaking down one book every week with real examples you can actually use. Next week, Atomic Habits and Why Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's morning routine is a trap for most people. See you then.